Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our Cheers to 10 Years of 17 Hats. I'm Amanda Ray, CEO of 17 Hats, and I am here joined by Deb Mitzel, 17 Hats ambassador, longtime 17 Hats member. Thank you for joining. Thank you for coming in and chatting with me about business in the last 10 years of what's been happening.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, can you tell us before we get started, can you tell us a little bit about you, profession, where you're from, what you do, all of that jazz before we dive in?
Absolutely. Yeah. Again, I'm Deb Mitzel. I live in Minnesota, so cold part of the world, but summers are beautiful, so it's all good. I've been a business person for my entire career. So I was in the car business for about 30 years as a CFO,
Oh,
COO type,
mhm.
and have had a photography business on the side for approximately 15-ish years. And so that's when I discovered 17 Hats, because I was doing the full-time plus career, as well as doing a pretty healthy senior business on the side.
Yes.
So that's kind of where it all started for me. And I retired from the day job a couple years ago now, 2.5 years ago.
Mhm.
And so now I do small business consulting, which is truly my love. So not a whole lot of photography anymore, but I work with a ton of photographers. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
That is awesome. So when you talk about small business consulting, what type of consulting do you do right now? So you photographers, also non-photographers, or just photographers?
I do both, but I think I've kind of found a niche in photographers just because honestly, one of the things that I discovered when I first started doing photography is that I ran into all these people that were super creative and talented as a photographer, but I found that the business side of their business was kind of a struggle bus.
Yeah.
So I kind of, at that time, I didn't have time to do anything about it, but I discovered a ton of people through different networking and events that I did as a photographer. And I kind of vowed that when I had the time and was not doing the day job anymore, that I really wanted to get involved in that, because I've done some consulting on and off over the years
Yep.
and just kind of found my niche in small business and really want to take those people that have this amazing creative talent, which most
Mhm.
creative entrepreneurs are. They have the talent, they
Yep.
got into business for a reason because they're good at the thing, they love it, somebody decided to pay them to do it.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they're like, oh my God, there's this business thing behind the scenes that I hadn't thought about, accounting and operations. And so I really get into the operations kind of high level, helping them figure out where they are, where they want to go, and how to get there. But so often my work starts with something like 17 Hats. So I find that a lot of people don't have a system. So that's a lot of times where my work with my clients starts, is getting them into something or helping them with what they already have, which in many cases is also 17 Hats.
Yeah. I love that because you're right. I mean, people that are coming into any creative solopreneur type profession, they're really, really great at what they're doing, whether it's balloon artists, photographers, event planners, you name it. They're great at that. But then when they realize the business, it's only like 70% business and only 30% of what they actually love. It's scary. It's overwhelming. They don't know where to start. I always say like people just wing it, right? You wing it and you try to learn. And that winging it for some people takes them down the wrong path. And then it's really hard to course correct to the right path. And some people do get lucky and get surrounded by the right people. They learn, and they can just make it happen. But man, it's tough.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's the thing. I often say that the people that I help the most are the people who are at that point where they can't take another client because they can't figure out how to get there, because
Yeah.
they're so busy doing the work of the business that they can't work on the business.
Yeah. I love the people that I can take that like have hit the glass ceiling, but they're like, I want to grow. I need to make more money. I need to get more clients, but I don't have time to grow. And you're like, let me introduce to you 17 Hats. This is your solution for that. Right.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. So take us back like 10 years
Mhm.
ago when you found 17
Mhm.
Hats. So take us back to that. What were you looking for? How did you hear about 17 Hats? How did 17 Hats help you then?
It's interesting, and I don't know exactly how I happened upon it, but I'm
Mhm.
assuming it was from a photography group. But that's why I started looking for something, coming from the corporate world that I was in, CRM systems and I mean, I'm an organized person. That's just, that's kind of what I did in my corporate world.
Mhm.
So I knew the value of being organized and having systems, and knew that there was no way that I could do my full time career and a side business with photography and do it the way I wanted to, because I'm kind of a
Sure.
perfectionist to a degree. And I knew that there was no way that I could keep all the balls in the air if I didn't have something to help me do it. I
Yeah.
didn't want to cobble together spreadsheets and Google Drives and all the things to try to make that happen. So, however I came upon it, I looked at a couple different things at the time and decided 17 Hats was the right thing. Jumped in, and I mean, gosh, I haven't looked back since. I love it. And there's no way, I said this a million times over the years, there is no way that I would have been able to handle my photography business alongside a full time career had it not been for that. Um, at my height, I was doing, and I did primarily seniors, but I had a team of 24 kids one summer and a total of 40 seniors that I shot in a time span of June through October, along with a full time career. And there's just no way I would have been able to keep it all together had I not had something, and 17 Hats back then didn't have all the bells and whistles it had now, or it has now. It was amazing, but it's even more amazing now.
I love that because you're right. It's grown so much
Mhm.
over the past, gosh, 10 years from
For sure.
starting to where we are now. We were looking at screenshots of like launch day and what it looked like at launch day. We're like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. It's changed so much. Just the
Yeah.
look, the feel, the functionality of it all has grown so much, which is exciting. Um, Using 17 hats today, what is its main benefit to you? What does it give back to you?
I think the biggest thing is just having one spot where everything is housed. I mean,
Hmm.
granted, we
Yeah,
all use some other programs to do different
sure.
things, but to have all the client related activity in one spot is huge. And as part of what I do now, I'm helping other clients get 17 hats set up and all those sorts of things.
Yeah.
So the biggest selling feature from my standpoint is just that, not only the professionalism, but the ability to be consistent and have your processes in one place so that your clients actually get the same experience every time, because that's such a huge thing that falls through the cracks. So, I
Mhm.
mean, it's the same for me as it is for my clients, but just knowing that I have one place I can go to find everything I need and that my processes are the same for every client, because the worst thing would be to have one client refer another and then find out that their experience was dramatically different. Well, that doesn't do me any good in the long run.
This is the one thing I try to like beat into people almost. Like I'm always harping on. Because when I very first started as a photographer way back in the day as well, I
Hmm.
did not understand the importance of consistency.
Yeah.
And when I only had like 5 or 6 clients, right, in a 3 month period, um, it wasn't a big deal. I could do something different for every client just a little bit. And I think there was a time that that allowed me to learn a little bit as well too. But as I grew, I discovered very quickly how important consistency in the client experience is.
Yeah.
You can't grow a business without it.
Absolutely. Well, and I'm in the Midwest, and I might have had time to do all the things I wanted to do for a client in May,
Sure.
but in July, which was busy season, those things are going to fall through the cracks. And so that's one of the things that I talk about all the time. It's like you need to have this consistency because, again, if two clients start comparing notes and they have a dramatically different experience, that's going to hurt you in the long run. So,
Hurt your brand. And
mhm.
it just like to remember where everybody is in the stages. If you're doing something different for everyone, right? And trying to remember, oh, what did I tell that person? Or what did I say? Or in getting, you're starting to kind of remember it all in your head and you can't remember it all. And then it starts to get confused. You
Right.
don't know what you said. You don't know what you told somebody or emailed somebody. And now you've just created chaos for yourself as
For
well.
sure. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. I mean, you talk about that, it makes me think about the lead capture forms and the client inquiry process. It's another
Mhm.
thing that I'm constantly harping on people, just the fact that you need to have a solid system. And so what I teach my clients is to have a system, to use 17 hats, set up the lead capture form, get that automatic response out there, direct them to your website, whatever it is, answer questions that they have before they've asked them in that initial inquiry so that you get the jump, because so
Mhm.
often, and I think you've talked about this before, but you get that response that is, we'll respond back in 24 to 48 hours. What does it make you do? You just move on to the
You
next
move
thing. I
on.
actually
The
got one of
client
those.
goes to look.
Yeah, I just got one of those in the last day or so. And I thought, oh, I need to talk to this person because they
Yeah.
need to step it up. But I also teach, we've got this great tool. So take that information, take the link, to your information, to
Yeah.
the email you're going to send out, or take the text or whatever that's out of the system and put it in your phone. So if somebody texts you, you can respond in the same way. And then it comes into your system as a typical lead so that you're not wondering how you responded to that person, how you responded to another person. It's always consistent.
Always the
And
same.
it's just so valuable to have
Mhm.
that process in place.
Let's talk a little bit about mindset
Mhm.
because I feel like in order to get a process in place, you have to really want to do it. You have to see the value of it. And I think the first step of getting process in place is same thing with like weight loss, right? If I'm going to go lose weight, I can say I'm going to go on a diet every day and every day I'm going to say the diet starts tomorrow, right? Until I say, nope, this is happening today. We're done. Our mindset is turned on. We're moving forward with this. We're getting shit done. So, talk to me a little bit about the mindset people need to be in to actually start putting that process into place and taking it just a little bit more seriously.
Yeah, I think that's probably the hardest part because, we get so stuck in a rut. We do things the way we've always done them. And I think sometimes we try to bite off more than we can chew.
True.
Let's do the whole thing right now. And sometimes you just got to step back and take it from the starting, small
Yeah.
starting point. And I think that's where I always try to start with the client inquiry because I think that's where you can have the most immediate impact sometimes. We know how hard it is to get clients. So
Yeah.
it takes a lot to get them. So when you have the opportunity, you need to take care of them right from the jump and get it right. So that's one of the first places I start. But, usually I think it's important to step back and go, okay, what is it I need to accomplish in my business? And mindset, whether you're talking about the business activities or life or whatever, I always try to step back and go, okay, where is it I'm trying to go here? And what
Yeah.
is it I need to do to get there? And then there's some decisions to make because so often it's easy to do that thing right in front of us that
Yes.
maybe doesn't have the right impact, but I compare this to like people who are trying to save money, for example, but they haven't sat down with their spouse or whoever they're, in a relationship with, and they haven't sat down and figured out what are our dreams? What do we want out of life? So when they haven't taken the time to do that, that coffee a day where they stop at Starbucks or Caribou Coffee or wherever on the way to off the office or wherever they're going, they don't think about the fact that that $5 is probably eating into whatever their big dreams are. But when
Yep.
they've taken the time to sit down and decide what is important to them and how they're going to get there, all of a sudden they can go, you know what? That big dream that we just talked about that we're working towards is better than this to me than this $5 a day coffee
Yeah.
habit. And so, you start to look at that. And I think it's the same process with anything. So, trying to get going in a system like 17 Hats, whether it's the, invoicing piece of it or workflows or online scheduling, whatever it is, kind of have to step back and go, what's the overall benefit? What am I trying to accomplish? And yeah, there might be a little bit of pain there, but is that pain worth it? Yes. 99.9% of the time, it's worth it. But you just have to get in the right mindset to go, that end goal is more important than the pain I have to go through right now to get there.
Absolutely. I love that so much. You're like talking my love language at this part. Because it's mindset and just understanding where you want to go. I did a coaching session, gosh, several years ago. Donovan and I both did coaching with Michael Gerber. He's the author of the E-Myth Revisited.
Mm,
Our first session with him, he looked at us and he said, okay, I want you to write down what you want people to say about you at your funeral.
yeah.
And I was like, "What?" I was like, "I don't feel comfortable doing this." And he's like, "I don't care.
hmm
Write down what you want people to say about you at your funeral." Because if you want to be, like a loving mom and a family person, and like if that's what you want, then we have to gear this for that. If you want to be a kick-ass business person, if you want to be a change maker, like that's what we have to gear
hmm
this way, but I need to know what you want right now at
Right.
the end of your life. And it
Mm-hmm.
was so eye opening to me of going, oh crap, we got to get in the right mindset from the
Mm-hmm.
beginning before we even start this. Um, Another word you said that I wrote down actually is the word impact. It's one of my favorite words.
Mm-hmm.
We do a lot of stuff, but not a lot of stuff that we do make an impact.
Mm-hmm.
Can you dive in on that word for me just a little bit on just from a coaching point of view? Impact's a heavy word.
Yeah, it is. And I know I'm a journaler, not as much as I'd like to be, but I think about that word for myself a lot because I'm at that age where you talk about what Michael Gerber asked the two of you, what do you want people to say at your funeral? And I mean, I journal every day, and I journal with a system that has some prompts. And one of the things that it kind of prompts some of that, like, what do you want people to say about you? It doesn't necessarily say
Yeah.
at your funeral, but that's the gist of it. And so I think about that because I'm at that stage where I've technically retired from the day job. And it's like, what do I want my life to stand for? What do I want it to look like? And so I think impact to me is a bit about really doing that dreaming again. Like, what do you want to be remembered for? What do you want people to? It's not an ego thing. It's about what
Mhm.
drop do I want to have made in the world? What help do I want to have given, or what do I want that to look like? So I think it's important for us to think about impact because that affects everything that we're going to do and how we do it. Not necessarily from an ego standpoint of, oh gosh, I want them to recognize that I did that thing, but what's going to make me and my heart feel good and accomplished and know that I did what I was so called here to do on this earth.
Yeah,
I don't know that we're going to know that, but if you follow your heart, you follow the joy, I feel like you're going to get there. And
I
so
love
I
that.
just feel like we as a society, as a people, we get so caught up on that lie of busy that we don't think about the impact that we actually want to make. We're so busy following the dots or the breadcrumbs that somebody has laid out for us
Yep.
that we don't think about what it is we want. And
Yep.
so I guess to me that's probably where the impact comes in. It's not a super defined thing. I think it's personal, and it's a
Yeah.
matter of stepping back and taking the time to maybe dream about what that impact looks like to you personally, and then
I love
following the
it.
steps to make that happen.
Guys, this is such, I feel like, wise words from somebody you've been in business for a very long time. You've seen all of it from even your COO positions through. This is such wise words that I feel like
Mhm.
if you are new to business, or gosh, it doesn't even matter what phase of business you're in, listen to it and listen to it again because it's huge, right? If you can think about where you want to go, you want to think about what is the impact that you want to make. It's not just about if you're a photographer making pretty pictures. It's not if you're a
Mhm.
balloon artist. It's not just about making beautiful balloon arches, but what is it that you're actually doing with that? What impact are you making on your family, your community, the society around you? Um, the world, even if you want to go that far.
Mhm.
um we can do so much more than just you know do pretty pictures or make
Right.
beautiful balloon garlands. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that at all whatsoever. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but if you want to do more, if you feel called to do more, you absolutely can,
Yeah.
which is what's so exciting. Deb, real quick as we wrap this up, for somebody just getting started in business, what would be your advice to them?
Oof, that's a big one. I think my first advice would be just to do essentially what I just said. Step back a little bit and figure out what it is you're doing it for. Because the thing you're doing, granted, you love doing it, but it's a vehicle to the impact you want to make. So
Yeah.
step back and think about that. If you're a photographer and you make pretty pictures and all of a sudden somebody wants to pay you for it, that's great. Start the business.
Yeah.
But think about it from a more holistic, bigger picture standpoint so
Yeah.
that it ends up serving you. One of the things I say all the time is I want my client's business to be a blessing and not a burden.
Oh,
So
I love that.
so think about that from the standpoint of your business serves you, not the other way around. So before you
Yeah.
get to that edge of burnout, try to take the steps to step back and think about it and look at how can I make this work for me and accomplish the
Yeah.
things I want to accomplish without sacrificing my life and lifestyle to do it?
I love that. Thank you for sharing. If
Thank you.
somebody wants to learn more about you or to find you, where do they go? Where can they find you at these days
Probably
online?
probably the best place is my website is debmitzelcreative.com. So just my
Mhm.
name and creative. And same thing on Instagram, Facebook, have TikTok. It's not super active, but yeah, Deb Mitzel Creative pretty much everywhere you want to look.
And I think you are a marketplace partner as well.
I am, yeah. I love
Yeah. So
that.
you can go and check out Marketplace, 17 Hats Marketplace, and find some of the amazing items and templates that Deb has created. Deb, thank you for joining me. You gave so much inspiration.
Yeah.
Having you as a member for the past 10 years, growing with us, we appreciate you so much. Being one of our ambassadors, we appreciate you as well. You have just offered so much guidance and so much coaching in this call as well. And we appreciate that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And I appreciate 17 Hats. I love it. So
Thank
that's
you.
why I talk about it all the time.
Well, thanks, Deb, for joining us. And for everybody else, we'll see you next time.